media must plead guilty that they are underestimating themselves. They have been divided. There is no reason why we should have never learned to work together, to step the tide of this mass media. You see, I worked as a reporter, as an editor for the mainstream for 4 years. I know inside out. You see, mass media in America today, and even 20 years ago, has no conscience. Mass media exists for the bottom line highest because they must have the highest rating. That means they must have the highest number of the people. That means they become the bird's eye view. They're like a hawk over the valley looking for trouble. Only way to reach out to the largest member so that they have the highest rating, so that they can have advertising, so that they can have money to have a profit. That means they have to rely on violence, disaster, and above race. Race riot for the mass media, for the not just 20 years ago. Race riot have been going on for black people for many, many years. And the media strive on race riot. Race riot is tailor-made for rating. And it is no accident that the race riot popped up in April 29. You know what the April 29 is? At the last week of April, beginning of the May season. I worked as a consultant, advisor to NBC local affiliate in Sacramento for 5 years. As a print man, I did not tell what was on. When it comes to March, every station is gearing up for something good to start May rating. And that's why the white media, you know that in my experience, that's why I came to Los Angeles 1990 to set up first English newspaper. First English newspaper in 1990, because Koreans have no voice. Latinos have no voice because they spoke Latino, they couldn't speak English. Koreans came in, Asians came in, they couldn't speak. So they are mutually mute. Isn't that incredible? What a tragedy. You see, all the minorities, for instance, the Latinos and the Asians, they've been here more than 150 years. Latinos, hundreds of years. Yet because we are isolated, divided. You see, and because every first generation have no time to think larger. They have to live for their children. They have to feed their children. They have to send their children to school. So every generation of immigrants must live and die as a sacrifice and silence. I covered it for 20 years. I covered for the first time for white paper in California. I covered Chinese, Japanese, and Chicanos for the first time. I worked with a migrant group. You know, every student in my class at the Cal State, there are 5 or 6 Latino kids. You know, every one of them told me that they are the first one to go to college. And I think that's one of the most beautiful gifts from those unseen and unheard people. They are deferring their elusive American dream to their children. You see? And that's why I think we should celebrate it. When I look at you, and you think, as I said, this is a new game. You can talk back. You see, the 1990 LA riot is nothing but, in my own experience, after I set the first English paper in 1990, I lived it every day for nightmare over 3 years. I can demonstrate every day. As a 40-year veteran of American newspaper, I witnessed how American media inspired, fanning, agitating, bogus race war, pitting one powerful, politically powerful, but economically frustrated black minority against seemingly thriving tribe of newcomers who spoke no English. And what they did? When 5 cops were acquitted from beating up the Rodney King, there was a black anger coming from the Florence and the South Central. And immediately, almost instinctively, American California's media, tired of Hollywood, every TV station except the PBS, and the almighty monopoly daily newspaper, LA Times, they conspired almost instinctively to divert black anger to divert the so-called black Korean conflict. It went on for 2 years, and we have been taken. And our minority religions don't even know it now. Hindsight, you have your new generation, and I'm telling you, we're handicapped. My generation is handicapped. I think you grew up with Latinos, blacks, white, and kids here. It's natural for you. And you have a weapon, smartphone, laptop. You can be an editor. You can be a reporter. You can be an agitator. You can be a politician. So things have changed, man. You don't have to talk to LA Times. You don't have to talk to NBC local station. You can create a website. You can blog it through Facebook. I'm telling you, one man can make the difference with you. You see? So I dare say that new America will resurrect from here. I'm absolutely convinced. It has to come. And it is no accident. On this campus, you are the catalyst to invite the 3 people. They are the first and last line of defense for your people, man. They have their language. How can you best communicate without your own native language? You don't have to have an interpreter. Radio, here are the 3 people. I'm not joking. If they get together year before, and you know what that Radio Korea did? Koreans have been here 100 years. We never had one English newspaper. And the Radio Korea, it's a Korea. You know what it became? Radio Korea is, without Radio Korea, the Koreans would have been completely wiped out. Radio instantly became not only the first line of defense, they warned everybody. And they created, you know what happened? They collected $3 million. I'm not joking, man. We must plead guilty for underestimating ourselves. That's our crime. No, you cannot blame anybody. I'm telling you from now, if anybody blames white media, say you're stupid. White media has no conscience. It is, you have to really, it's up to you now. There's no majority in Los Angeles, do you know that? Latino is a majority now. This is a new game. And you are every one of your newspaper. You have a radio station. You can be a radio station, you know that? You can use a smartphone, FaceTime, Facebook. And it has to start on the campus. I'm not joking, man. It has to, this is no accident. You know why we have a journalism department? This is the first journalism department. I see more than half of them are Latinos. That is the gift from your parents, man. That's your gift from, I know how they work. You know that the one, listen, one encounter in 1973 opened my eyes. I didn't know anything about Chicanos or migrant workers. His name is Tony Cisnero. And I was teaching all the young Latinos, many of them are convicts from prison. Many young Latinos are in prison. You know that? Prison system is killing your children. And once given the opportunity, they will become a good writer, reporter. I found among many convicts I told, there are many writers, they are natural writers. And that's why I'm saying that you have no excuse. Don't blame anybody. You have to blame yourself. Because the future of Los Angeles is only limited by the boundary of your imagination, your honesty to exchange each other, courage and love. And that's why I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
So I'm going to open the floor to the audience. Any questions? Questions for the panelists? Any comments? Welcome. Raise your hand. Marcy.
I'm interested in KGLA and the way that they continue to handle public affairs over the 23 years since I've been here. But mostly of bringing in the unknown voices, people that we don't usually hear from in our community. And this morning, on the front page, there's a commemoration of this anniversary. They brought in all the hip-hop artists to talk about what that was like for them. And it was absolutely amazing conversation. Could you talk a little bit about your commitment to that?
Well, let me go back and come forward. Okay. In '96, the Telecom Act changed. Are you all familiar with the Telecom Act of 1996? Mm-hmm. Okay, this was when the consolidation was allowed and sanctioned. Okay. The next big hurdle was our rating service. Arbitron changed from a diary method to PPM, portable people meter. These were two significant events for small broadcasters, especially in major markets. One, because you're no longer competing one station with another station for an audience. Now you're competing one with 8 or 9, and there are those resources. Now you add in a change in methodology for rating, which is your PPM, your portable people meter, which is encouraging you to stop talking, cut the dialogue, just play the music, because you're trying to compete for the audience, for the ear. The challenge is to be a profitable business. You want to reduce your operating expenses, increase your ratings so you can convert your ratings to revenue. That's a long way of saying most stations, commercial broadcast stations, have eliminated news unless they're news talk. It's an expense item that can be cut. Okay? You can pull down a wire, use a wire service and pull a story if you need to. Music, music, music. If you want to keep them locked in, you're competing with new media. We have remained committed, even though I have cut some news positions, I must admit. But I have a public affairs program Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6 a.m. It's a non-rated period. However, I am committed to having that dialogue, having that open mic. And I have had that. I used to have it 6 days a week. Now I have it 5 days a week, and I've been there over 23 years, and I still have it. What I'm doing now is I'm using my interns are my new news reporters because I can pay them less, and I can give them the experience. I know that sounds a little harsh, especially if you were a seasoned news broadcast journalist and you're no longer there. But I didn't fire anyone. When they left, when there was attrition, I gave my interns an opportunity, and they competed for it. So it allows me to have more news throughout my day part, keep my operating expenses low, and I still reinvest in my public affairs 5 days a week. So the bottom line is my broadcast license no longer requires me to do public affairs. It just doesn't require it anymore. But my community requires it. I believe I'm the only there were 2 black-owned radio stations in Los Angeles there were 2, The Beat, Radio 1 lost their property about 3 years ago, and Inner City Broadcasting, which is headquartered out of New York, is in bankruptcy. So they just lost their San Francisco station. So now it's just KGLH from probably Kansas City West. We're the only black-owned and operated. Because we can't afford to buy them, so a lot of reasons. But the bottom line is I have to remain profitable. I have to stay in business so I can provide you with the news and information. So it's a commitment, because it would be cheaper to cut that expense, but at what cost? My commitment is news and information and entertainment. And so I thank you for listening. It reaffirms my commitment to what I'm doing.
Any questions?
Hi, how's it going? Thank you guys, by the way, it was great.
Just stand up and state your name.
Oh, I can't stand.
I'm sorry.
But that said, I was just wondering, because all of you guys come from a really diverse occupation, some similar, some different, and they're covering different political spectrums. Since the LA riots and the positions that it's put different communities in, has there been, I know you mentioned that you do regret not continuing the mediation further. Do you think at this point, 20 years later, there has been kind of this rift that has continued to grow between the African American, Korean, and Latino groups, or do you think it's kind of faded? And what's the environment like today?
Well, I'm sure we all have an opinion. I'd like us all to speak, but since I'm the talkative, why not start? I know that we could have done a better job, and that is one of my regrets. But when I put my business hat on, I understand that I have to cater to my core, what we call our P1s. So if they want black news, black talk, black music, that's what they get. However, as a part of that commitment is you want, while you're in the comfort of your car, at home on your sofa, cleaning your kitchen, you're comfortable, you're in your safe zone. That's the time when you can reach out and be open and hear other perspectives. How much you do on air, that's your investment. Are you willing to make that investment? But it doesn't all have to be on air. It can be online, it could be town hall meetings, it could be, because culturally, the old and the new, we are young and the old, we have to remain open as we age to your voice, regardless of what complexion that voice comes in. Because if we're going to ever get through this, we have to have empathy and understanding for one another's plight.
Yes, we could have done a little more. I regret that. But when we educate people, like voter registration, we've been doing that for past 30 years. And our radio station's been here for 23 years. We've been doing voter registration. You have to vote. Go out, register, and vote. We do that kind of campaign. But actually, people out there have to go register. Like census. We do census campaign all the time, but they don't do that. I think you have to, it has to come from the grassroots. People have to realize that you have to share your feelings, do things together. Then you can build relationship. My experience in 1997, I had a black lady friend. She was a realtor, and we were looking a house, and we bought a house in Compton. I lived in Glendale, but we sold our house and we bought a duplex over there. And I still have that. I don't live there anymore, but I still have that property over there. And I associate with my tenants and friends over there for over 13, 14 years now. And we are like family. We're just the same people, same concerns. So I personally experienced that, so that I really think that it has to come from grassroots. But the media's responsibility, we have to put a little more effort. I wish there was more events like this, maybe this week or this year, maybe. Maybe we can do joint program like we did 20 years ago. Yeah?
Why not?
I'm optimistic, very optimistic, and I'm gonna just tell you one example. 2 weeks ago, I covered a manifestation against Wells Fargo. 160 years helping people to get their lives better. That's something I think is phrase. It was a combination of people, black people, Afro-American people, Asian people, Latino people. Because, of course, there's 1 million people losing their houses in California. Every month, 10,000 people get into the trouble situation. And we know that we pay them, we save them, the banks, and then